The September iPhone 13 event is almost here. In fact, Apple already sort of leaked it themselves. But as last-minute rumors and some late-breaking news comes in, there is some good news and some bad news we just need to talk about. In fact, there is some news here that might just change this entire event. Let's break down the 5 biggest things you need to know about the Apple September event, including everything about the iPhone 13, brand new AirPods, the new Apple Watch, and much, much more. Now, Apple traditionally holds multiple events each year that focus on different products and different services, but this one in September is arguably the most important and usually the most exciting because this is the iPhone event. This is where we get to see their latest and greatest creation, their latest innovation, and this year, of course, is no exception with the debut, finally, of the iPhone 13. This is where we get all the details on the design, the new features, the processor, and also where Apple traditionally shows us a couple of things that didn't leak out onto public websites, just to show that everybody doesn't know everything. Apple has some secrets they still want to save as a little one more thing. And this is where we finally get the full details on the iPhone 13, plus much, much more. Now, there has been just a flurry of rumors that Apple is going to hold multiple events this fall, maybe as many as 3 different events between September, October, and November. Now, we don't know what's official and what's not official, but what is very apparent is that Apple has been working on a lot with new iPads, and new Macs, and new phones, and there is a lot that is finally ready to become available to us outside the walled garden inside Cupertino, and we finally get to get our hands on all these new Apple products. But it seems like specifically with this September event, there's going to be 4 big products, 4 distinctive products that should finally make their debut in just a couple of days. So let's just get the obvious out of the way first and talk about the iPhone 13. Now, I have done some deep dives in the past going into the details of all the new features with the iPhone 13 and how the iPhone 13 stacks up to the iPhone 12. If you guys want to check out any of those awesome Apple Circle videos, link to those, of course, will be down below. But in this video, let me just sort of give you the highlights with the iPhone 13 because there is a lot we've got to cover. So, of course, there is no big design change here with the iPhone 13, especially comparing it to the iPhone 12. You're going to get the same industrial design, the same boxy edges. This is more of an S year by all accounts. A year of refinements, a new processor, better battery life, bigger physical batteries, plus a whole lot more of these under the hood improvements. But there are also a couple of big features here to get excited about and are very noteworthy that we've just got to show off. The big story this year with the iPhone 13 is really with the iPhone 13 Pro and Pro Max. Now, those phones are going to look the same as last year. They're going to come in the exact same screen size options, 6.1 and 6.7, but the displays won't really be the same. They'll still be very bright, vibrant, beautiful OLED panels that'll be great for watching content and scrolling through social feeds, but also the display technology itself is going to change, and that's because Apple is adopting LTPO display technology that should give us a couple of really big features. The first is ProMotion support. So 120 Hz refresh rate is finally coming to the iPhone 13 Pro and Pro Max this year. Yes, finally, thank you, Apple, thank you, Tim Cook. And also an always-on display mode could be coming as well. This would be very similar to what we have on the Apple Watch, where you could sort of glance down at your phone when it's sort of in the off position, but still be able to see things like the time, maybe weather, incoming notifications, maybe your activity rings, probably something very similar to how Apple does it on the Apple Watch. Now, these are 2 really exciting features that are just slated to be on the Pro and models this year and should be coming with the official debut of the iPhone 13. The other part of the exciting new features coming to the Pro and iPhones have to do specifically with the camera. Now, we are expecting the ultra-wide lens on the iPhone 13 Pro and Pro Max to finally get a bit of a boost, go into an f1.8 aperture so it can capture more light, and also better autofocusing capabilities as well. Really nice to see. We should see sensor shift stabilization go down to the regular 13 Pro and also the regular 13 Mini and 13 as well. And then a number of other software improvements here to give you more functionality and more versatility on these Pro and iPhones. So we can expect maybe an astrophotography mode for really nice nighttime sky shooting. We could see portrait mode video to give you that sort of bokeh-esque capabilities that we have in photos now over on the video side as well. We could see ProRes video support for higher quality, less compressed video recording, and also potentially this new sort of AI machine learning color filter effects able to better stylize the photos you take on your camera. Of course, we're going to see improvements to Apple Pro RAW, and I'm sure some smart HDR HDR processing improvements as well. Basically, the story here, camera functionality and camera versatility is getting better on the iPhone 13 Pro and Pro Max. If you love shooting photos and you love taking videos, then you are going to love the improvements coming to these new Pro-end iPhones this year. Another big new feature coming to all iPhone 13 models this year is a smaller notch. Yes, the notch is finally getting smaller on all iPhone 13 models. That's going to be a nice cosmetic change here and a nice sort of quality of life improvement on the iPhone. And then in terms of other sort of design changes and other cosmetic differences, not a whole lot here to expect. We should see new color options on the Pro models for sure, maybe some new color options on the regular 13 mini and 13 as well. Those phones will also have a diagonal camera setup to kind of show off that those phones are a little bit different, and also for the sensor shift stabilization tech inside of those phones. And then another last minute rumor here we've got to talk about is this new rumor of iPhone 13 satellite connectivity support. This is still a little unclear if it's going to happen or not, or if this is supported in all iPhone 13 models or just the Pros. But basically the idea here is that if you're in an emergency situation where you cannot make a standard phone call or send a text, there's no cell coverage, that your iPhone 13 may be able to connect to specific satellites in order to connect you to emergency services. If you had to make a call or send a very limited text, you could do so with the use of this special satellite network. Again, it's unclear if it's going to happen or not, or if it's even going to launch in 2021, or maybe the hardware is there and it launches next year in 2022 or in the future. Not sure what Apple's going to do here or not, but this is an exciting feature that might just sort of change the way we think of traditional satellite phones. And then last but not least, on the Touch ID rumor front, again, it doesn't look like that's going to happen this year. It looks like Apple is making more substantial improvements to Face ID to make that system better, make it work better with glasses and masks, and a combination of foggy glasses and masks. Basically, Face ID should get better, and Touch ID is not expected to come to the iPhone 13 this year. Now, as much as I wish the disappointment and sort of the bad news ended there with Touch ID, I'm sorry to say it does not end there. I have to be the bearer of more bad news and talk about something that just could change the entire September event, and that is the Apple Watch Series 7. Now, the good news here with the Series 7 is that this is a really big year for the Apple Watch. The Series 7 is going to get the biggest redesign we've seen to the Apple Watch in its entire existence, not just in the last couple of years, but really in the entire time it's sort of been on our wrists. This is really supposed to embrace sort of this industrial design language we have on the iPhone and the iMac and even iPads and new MacBook Pros. You've got sort of these boxy edges. It's sort of this squared off design that I think looks really nice, especially if you look at the renders. Though some people, after looking at some dummy models posted online, either love the way it looks or think it's sort of really chunky, really bulky, and wouldn't be caught anywhere near that thing on their wrist. I happen to think it's cool, but you can kind of leave your comments down below whether you think that Apple Watch Series 7 looks nice or not. But regardless of that, big new features are coming to the Series 7, new design, bigger battery, better battery life, better performance, and also some bigger screens are coming to the Apple Watch Series 7 as well, going up from 40mm and 44mm to 41mm and 45mm. So just a 1mm difference here, but the screen is getting a little bit bigger on this Series 7. We had heard some rumors for a while that the Series 7 could introduce some really new big health features like an unobtrusive blood glucose monitor, for example, but it doesn't look like that is ready for this year. It seems like the Series 7 is really going to focus on a redesign, and other bigger software features and health improvements will come next year, presumably with the Series 8. So that's the good news, but what's the bad news? Well, according to some late breaking news we heard earlier this week, it looks like the Apple Watch Series 7 may not actually launch in time because some early production models had some issues, and apparently this watch is just a little bit more complex and a little bit harder to build than previous models have been in years past. Now, at this time, it's unclear on the specifics of exactly what was harder to build, if it's the watch chassis itself or it's a specific component causing issues, and also what the extent of this delay is. There have been rumors that Apple Watch Series 7 production will pick back up in mid-September and hopefully kind of start to really ramp up at the end of September, so we could see these launch maybe at the exact same time, but there'd be less available, or we could see Apple potentially push the launch of the Series 7 to maybe sometime next month, maybe sometime in October, so they'd sort of stagger the launch a bit. Maybe they'd launch some versions earlier than others. Not exactly sure here what's happening with the Series 7 as of right now, but not a lot lot of good news. It's probably not going to be as smooth sailing as Apple thought. Sort of out of our control. Apple's doing their best, and soon enough, we will get that new Series 7 on our wrist and get to enjoy that all new, really cool design. Next up, let's talk AirPods 3. And this is a fascinating product to cover because not only has it been a while since AirPod 2 launched, I think back in 2019, but also it's been some time since we've really heard any new information about AirPods 3. We really don't know what's going to be there and what's not going to be there. Best guesses right now and sort of last minute predictions point to the AirPods 3 looking very similar to AirPods Pro, that Apple is going to adopt a very similar design in terms of the shorter stems on the actual AirPods themselves, also a very similar charging case. But one big difference between AirPods 3 and AirPods Pro is that AirPods 3 will not have these removable silicone tips that some people love and some people hate. Some people don't like the pressure that they sort of put on your ears when you have them in. Some people prefer the way that regular AirPods fit into their ears. Better battery life should be here, hopefully improved sound quality as well. And then another big feature here up for debate is what actual, I guess, features we will see with AirPods 3. Will we see some kind of noise cancellation or transparency mode with AirPods 3? Could we see spatial audio support roll out to these sort of lower tier AirPods? We don't really know what Apple plans to do or not, though if I had to make a guess here again, I would say that spatial audio makes a lot of sense since Apple seems to keep pushing this more and more in their own apps, with Apple TV Plus, for example, supporting spatial audio, Apple Music, a lot of third-party apps are supporting it as well. That makes a whole lot of sense, and it'd be nice for sort of more people to be able to experience how cool spatial audio is, because it is really cool to experience. But I think that noise cancellation like ANC and transparency makes more sense to sort of reserve for the higher end Pro AirPods. So I'd love to see spatial audio come to AirPods 3, new design, better battery life, all that stuff is good. And we should see those hopefully launch at this event alongside new iPhones and new Apple Watches as well. Also, if you want to know more about AirPods 3 or the iPhone 13 or every other major announcement Apple has in store for us this year, then let me highly recommend a very, very good podcast that breaks down everything in the world of Apple. That, of course, shameless plug, is the Apple Circle podcast. It's where myself and Matt Gonzalez break down the wild world of Apple. We talk about the biggest leaks and rumors of the week. We talk about everything you need to know, and we do it every week, and you can subscribe on every major podcast platform. Link to the Apple Circle podcast is down below. And also, if you're a fan of video podcast, we also have a video version of that as well. I don't know why you want to stare at me talking for longer, but if you do, I appreciate it. And you can check out the Apple Circle podcast channel on YouTube, link down below as well. Give it a listen, give it a give it a watch, subscribe today. I do not think you'll be disappointed, and you'll hear me mess up even more, but this time with a lot less cuts. So this September event is shaping up to be pretty exciting. Apple Watch Series 7, iPhone 13, AirPods 3 all sort of make sense to see finally make their official debut at this event. But could we see a one more thing? Could we see a fourth product launched at this event? What else would make sense alongside these new projects? Well, we had heard maybe we could see new Silicon Macs, maybe the new M1X MacBook Pros, maybe we could see the AR glasses finally make their debut, and maybe those could happen later on this fall, especially new Macs probably later on this fall. But I think what makes the most sense to see alongside new iPhones and Apple Watches is the all-new iPad mini. Now, this has been a roller coaster to cover and follow these rumors, because on one hand, it seemed like the iPad mini was all but forgotten and Apple was sort of going to silently send that off to greener pastures. And then we heard that Apple was going to bring it back, but it was going to get a smaller, more unsubstantial redesign. But now all rumors point to this being a major year for the iPad mini, and this iPad mini that we're going to see launching hopefully sometime soon will have a major redesign, looking a lot more like the iPad Pro and the iPad Air, getting much slimmer bezels, getting Touch ID hopefully built into the power button, and just getting an all new look for 2021. So that is everything we are expecting to see at the September Apple event. New iPhones, new Apple Watches, hopefully some AirPods and some iPad minis in there as well. If you're holding out hope for the M1X MacBook Pro, doesn't look like it's going to happen at this event. I think that Apple will hold another event in October or November that'll be much more focused on Apple Silicon, finally show off the M1X, and hopefully we get some new Macs and maybe even another new iPad at that event. But what are your thoughts on the September event? Is there enough there with the iPhone 13 to make it a worthwhile upgrade? What are your thoughts on the design of the Series 7? Thumbs up, thumbs down? Is it going on your wrist? And new iPad mini, are you excited about the redesign, or is it too little, too late? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. We can discuss. As always, thank you guys very much for watching this video. I appreciate it. Thank you for watching, especially to the end of the video. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. let me know in the comments below you made it this far, and I will give you a thumbs up because I appreciate it. As always, I'm Robert Rosenfeld for the Apple Circle. Thank you very much, and I will see you all in the next one.